Hey, Weirdo, welcome back. Today's guest is the definition of changemaker. Martin has been writing code since he was 6 years old. He spent years in the high stakes, high regulated world of global banking, building algorithmic trading and real time risk systems for giants like Merrill Lynch, UBS, and Credit Suisse. But like many of us, he got disgusted by the corporate gatekeeping and decided to strike out on his own. His entrepreneurial journey is wild. He spent 7 years building a platform to take on Facebook, played with AI facial recognition before it was mainstream, argued with Mark Zuckerberg, and even had a conversation with Elon Musk the day before Musk bought Twitter. Then, when that venture didn't pan out, he pivoted, tattooed his company logo on his body so he couldn't give up, and built Infinity. What started as a simple website chatbot has evolved into Frontline Intelligence, a powerful AI tool that doesn't just answer customer questions, but actually maps the AI's brain to show businesses exactly where their gaps are. If you want to know how AI is actually understanding customers instead of automating them away, you're going to love this conversation. Please welcome Martin Hills.
Hey, Cody, thanks for the introduction.
No problem. Also, I'm going to steal the idea of tattooing my logo on chest because I'm doing the same. It's now my brand. I'm going to keep with it.
Cool, man. I'm glad you clarified on the chest because earlier you just said on the body, and I was like, oh, everyone's going to wonder where that is.
It's a tramp stamp. That's what it is, right? So before we get started, I ask all of my guests one question. What is a truth in your industry that people do not want to admit?
A truth in my industry that people don't want to admit, I guess, if we narrow it down to the chatbot industry, shall we say, and AI, one thing that they don't want to admit is that looking out there at the competition, the bots provide generally not very good information. And I'm being kind of politically correct there.
Yeah, that's completely fair. And it kind of comes along to a lot of my theories on AI is very stupid. And the doom narrative around like AI is going to take your job. Anybody who works with this daily knows you're nowhere near that level of readiness yet. So why don't you tell your story to our audience to start out?
Yeah, sure. Where do you want the story from? Right at the beginning in the investment banking world, or should we jump forward to Infinity and what I've built?
Let's jump forward to Infinity. Like, I think everybody kind of understands the banking world a little bit enough to know that it's what it is.
Yeah. Cool. So I started Infinity originally to take on Facebook. This proved quite difficult, but I didn't give up. As you said earlier, I had the company logo tattooed on my chest. And I pivoted. And actually, I pivoted to become a consultancy originally after the Facebook debacle. And the idea of the consultancy was not to work like a consultancy, but to work on deliverables. So we would only invoice once things got delivered. That kind of went wrong as well. Had a very shady client who decided he wouldn't even pay. So there's all these deliverables, but no payment. So having called the company Infinity, I wasn't going to give up. So actually at the end of last year, I decided to revamp the company and again, look for some new clients, hopefully with money to pay. But as I was doing this, I actually built the Infinity website myself and realized that I'd built something that was quite cool. And there were actually a number of things that underpin the website that are really cool. But I decided, hang on, this stuff's kind of resellable. And I looked at what was then just a basic chatbot that I'd built for Infinity's website. And I kind of thought, hey, this is so cool that I'm going to turn it into a SaaS product, which is kind of the sensible thing to do while I wait for some clients. And it turned out to be 100% of my time working on this product now. And it's actually really cool. And it's developed a long way in the last sort of 7 months.
So I want to get into how your chatbot's different from the others. Like, can you explain why it's different and how it's better than others?
Yeah, of course I can. So like many chatbots, in fact, let's look at the competition first. I'm not going to mention any names, but when we look at the competition, they're generally AI over the top of humans. It's the wrong way around. The AI side of things seems to have been skipped, probably because they didn't build it AI first, the products originally. And we've had the luxury of building it now. AI is obviously so prominent now. If you're going to build something that takes over from customer service, now's the time to have done it. So I'm ahead of the game there.
Fair.
And what it does differently, I always find when I'm talking to these chatbots and getting really annoyed with them, they're not really providing the answers I want. I just end up saying, give me a human, give me a human.
Mm-hmm.
So it defeats the whole object. So, and what they do as well is they tend to lie a lot.
They're all set up on their FAQs, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's right. But they can't kind of have a real conversation. They can do very specific things. So I thought, okay, let's do this a bit better. And this is where we're going to differentiate. The first way is that we're going to go AI first. So hopefully the users at the end don't really need to ask for a human because it will be handled. Everything they need will be handled. It won't lie, as another thing. It fundamentally will not lie. It won't make up anything that's not true. And it won't start talking about what's going to have for breakfast and what you should have for breakfast when it's supposed to be dealing with a bank. Or cybersecurity, which is one of the areas we're going into. If it's dealing with cybersecurity, we don't want to know about breakfast or what you bought in the supermarket. So that's one thing. And the other thing is what we actually do for the customers who buy the product is we expose so much information that's not normally available to them. So actually, when there's customers asking questions and the bot's not answering, I don't want to call it a bot. When Frontline Intelligence is not answering, it's actually a good reason for it. It's because they're not giving the information that the customers want. The customers are asking and they're not getting because it's not either it's not on their website, the bot's not been trained against, Frontline Intelligence not been trained against the correct set of data, or perhaps they don't even know that's what their customers are asking for. So yeah, that's what makes us different. In a nutshell, that was quite a long nutshell, but yeah.
No, but it is quite understanding in terms of what customers actually expect out of your business, right? We're going from a society that operated on always having a human in the loop, always being able to know what's going on, or at the very least be able to find out immediately by talking to your colleagues are in 3 to 5 business days after you deal with any sort of support. Being a software engineer, I end up with the support lines all the time, and I'm like, just throw me up to tier 3. I don't need to talk to tier 1 and 2 because I understand that my problem is more complex than what you're going to be able to solve. Are you hoping to solve those solutions, like where you go straight up to the intelligence?
Absolutely. So Frontline Intelligence actually has, let's call it schizophrenic. It has multiple personalities which can adapt. So let's say it's at the minute on the Infin8y website, there's just a standard enterprisey one trying to pitch sales for us, but not really doing much, answering questions. It actually has it's been trained on the technical support manual for itself, so it can answer questions to clients there. But what it can actually do as well to solve problems further, the split personality situation, is if it realizes that the intent of someone it's talking to is technical, and it can then actually be trained on, and it can go just to its technical documentation and have that as its main source that it's looking at. And it does all this like super quickly and seamlessly. So you won't know that its split personality has changed. So that's cool because the same product can also be working in marketing and sales, as well as high level technical support and just general customer support as well. There's going to be different kind of corpuses of information that it relies on. So
Very, very fair.
Why have it do everything when it can actually switch personality and you can train it for those particular tasks?
In the topic of cybersecurity, I know from hearing news articles about it years ago where Ford implemented their chatbot and ended up selling cars for free. How are you stopping those kinds of attacks?
Well, actually, it only quotes information that it knows for sure, and that is hard baked into it. So it can't go and start, although it does have a negotiation mode. Wow. And it's generally at the minute limited for bookings. So it could book plane tickets if you were an airline, for example, because you're selling those plane tickets there for that price at that moment in time. Or if you want to do another type of booking, say a calendar appointment with someone from technical support, let's say, it can do the whole negotiation flow. So without having to go into Calendly, for example, or Outlook Calendar, it will talk to the end user and negotiate a time based on availability in the calendar or shared calendar, for example, and actually figure out a time that person wants and does all the verification in the background so it can't just be spammed, etc. But yeah, so it kind of solves the problems from end to end.
Very fair. Oh, I just lost my everything.
Oh, and yeah, sorry, we were talking about the price and doesn't make stuff up. So if there's no availability, it's not going to go and try and book you an appointment. That was where we were going. Sorry, I hope you edit that bit out, which I
Oh,
know that the
this is
I've
why
said that. I've said that so it won't be edited out, right?
this is why I do everything not live, because I'm very much I'm not ready for not being able to edit out certain takes. Especially being in the Canadian system. I don't know if you know what's going on here, but we're dealing with a lot of tech problems right now because of our
All
government.
right.
So actually, you're in the UK, are you not?
I'm from the UK, but I'm in Spain. So
Okay.
somehow, but yeah, so I'm in Spain, which is a bit strange because here the tech works fine. We're just talking fiber. It's a piece of glass that goes to your house. Don't ask for any more tech than that. But that's as far as we go. It's perfect.
Yeah, the UK and Canada are seeming to go into the we're going to collect everything and surveil you state, and I'm worried, very much worried on that kind of thing, especially
Yeah.
seeing as this technology is so revolutionary in terms of freedom. Just giving people the opportunity to build what's in their head is extremely powerful, and I
Mhm.
understand the concerns around it. Um,
Mm.
but at the same time, like you I keep on saying this. We've developed a technology capable of helping us solve every planetary problem we have, and most likely future will be able to do.
Mm.
But we don't want to build it because of billionaires are bad and climate change.
Mhm.
It's kind of my motto now, because I'm sick of people not understanding that this is revolutionary, and
Mm.
nobody's going to be able to stop it.
Yeah.
Do you worry that the tech field is going to get more authoritarian?
What do you mean by authoritarian?
Like it's going to be used more for like the social media. This kind of goes back into our social media, your
Yeah.
social media side. Do you think it's going to get more engineered towards controlling you as opposed to allowing you to do things?
I have some strange opinions that I have on that. Probably a bit different. I actually think it's probably going to self-regulate because the amount of money that is required to keep it running is immense, and that limits it to a few big players. But then you've got the Chinese big players,
Mm.
which are a lot cheaper. So I think it's actually going to the technology will become cheaper. We're not going to rely on NVIDIA H100s for that much longer. I mean, there's already Photonics, which is becoming quite. I think there's a German company called Quant that are just releasing some Photonic stuff.
I have a buddy who works in photonics, and I've been trying to push him that way.
Ah, cool. So there we go. So yeah, I mean, I think that there's going to be a lot of competition, which then is going to make it cheaper, and it's actually going to become the norm. I think where there might be some issues is when quantum AI becomes more mainstream, and I think that might be happening quite soon as well.
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, China just released a consumer grade model last week.
Yeah, I think so. So
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
very excited for quantum, even
yeah,
though everybody in the crypto space is like, no, let's not
yeah.
do that.
That's yeah. I can understand why. I won't mention it, but I know why.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's technology is always moving forward. So while there's going to be something that can always break codes, there'll be then stronger codes that can't be broken or can't be broken easily. And I think it's just yeah, cat and mouse.
Mhm. Do you have like an understanding of quantum enough to be able to explain it to a layman?
I could certainly try to explain quantum to a layman. You're going to ask me to do that, right?
Yes, again, just for the audience, because I know not
Oh,
everybody in
sure.
my audience is technically oriented.
Okay. So a real simple way of describing quantum physics, I suppose, would be that instead of okay, that's actually really complicated.
Mm.
Computers work with zeros and ones, bits, so on or off. And with quantum, you end up with qubits. And I guess you can think about them as a dice that you roll. That dice has an infinite number of sides, and it can have an infinite number of answers when it finishes rolling. But you can read them all at the same time. So if you have a dice of say 6 sides, a normal dice, you can only read one at a time, and one in binary would be one. And yeah, if you have a bunch of qubits working together, you can think of that dice as a sphere almost, and you know exactly where that sphere will be all the time. That's a really weird. I've never pictured it that way, but you put me on the spot, and that's Another way of describing it, I guess.
That's why I prefer these things, because I like the human approach of just the conversation around you trying to figure it out with the audience, with me, because it gives focus back to the human things. Like with AI and everything we're going into, there's a lot of complex logic behind things, and people need to start being generalists. They need to start understanding multiple domains. Even just explaining quantum computing, you need to know quantum physics. You need to understand how physics works. You need to understand how a computer works. Like those are completely different subjects that you need to put into tandem. A lot of it, you also need to understand the human consciousness and mind as well, which we're still trying to figure out as a species. Let's get back into the tech a little bit more. Your brain map in the Frontline Intelligence, how does that work? Because I'm really interested in how you break down the individual workings of how it works.
Cool. So the way it works is by being open and transparent about what everyone else tries to hide. So we're using, obviously we're using AI, we're using retrieval augmented generation, which is also a bit of a black box, but we tried to open up that black box and make it all visible. So what happens is every single time there's an interaction with a bot anywhere. So every single interaction, it actually sets quite a few data points that are kept along with that interaction and stored throughout the whole interaction, throughout the whole session, and can actually be, we warehouse the data. Don't worry, we're abiding by GDPR and all of the other privacy things. We're abiding by it all, but we actually take that data and use it in order to in order to show you exactly what sources were hit, exactly what the customer was asking for, and exactly what sources didn't exist. And from that data, we can actually then advise our customers what data they should have in order to keep their customers happy, what people are using their Frontline Intelligence for, what they're asked, what questions are being asked. And then we get a quality audit of the quality of what's being served on the website, the quality of the documents that's been uploaded into Frontline Intelligence, and the knowledge base, which is a separate thing. There's a bunch of different bits, but all of these moving parts you can actually see, and you can replay a conversation in real time as it hits every single source of data and as it collates all of the information and then returns an answer. And you can replay that from any conversation that's ever been had ever. So this is quite cool. And this, what it exposes, a lot of marketing. I think there's a lot of value for marketing. There's a lot of value, particularly in support, as we were talking earlier. If customers can't find the answer on your website, or by even asking the chat, Frontline Intelligence, not chatbot, by asking your Frontline Intelligence for the answer, then you know where the gaps are straight away. You can just look at your reports. We have like extensive dashboards. There's 11 or 12 dashboards. Each dashboard has a particular focus or area, and each one has about 6 or 7 reports which you can dig into and get all this data out that helps you to provide your customers what they want.
Trying to visualize that in my head, is it just like an SQL schema that you just can go click on the?
Not quite. Okay. So it's a combination of a vector database, actual LLM analysis as well. And there is a SQL database behind it. There's a data warehouse behind it, but there's also flat Azure table storage. There's blob storage. There's a whole combination of things that brings it all together and actually allows you to view all of this happening all at once.
Yeah, that's
It's pretty, so I can explain how it came about as well.
Yes, let's go into that.
All right, cool. So the reason it came about was I was building the chatbot and I wanted to be able to debug it. And it's actually really difficult to debug. And I think that's why many of these chatbots you see out there are kind of, I wouldn't say useless, because that's kind of saying how awesome we are, but it's kind of true. They're not very good, let's say. And the reason they're not very good, I think, is because they just built them. They're basically just straight into the LLM from a chatbot with perhaps some data. And that, it gives you pretty bad answers, which is why you always end up asking to speak to a human. So I wanted to basically make that better. The only way to make it better was to build the brain map. And the brain map actually made me build the product and made us build the product with that view that generally you wouldn't have built until right at the end, or never, because I don't think anyone's ever built anything like that.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything.
The thing I think would be absolutely amazing is as a dev. Um, I don't know if you've thought about this, but in terms of like my dev practices, if it had
Mhm,
access to every single line of code, and for me to be able to, or for it to be able, especially when you're vibe coding, holy crap,
mm.
does the code come out horribly? And trying to solve the error when you're trying to talk to it, just being like, okay, where are you having this error? How can I help? What are you not understanding? What am I not understanding? These concepts are very abstract to the LLMs right now. Even with
Mhm,
my agent, I'm using Hermes,
mhm.
and just talking through it, it doesn't always tell me what is wrong.
Uh-huh.
And any software developer in the world knows the first place you start is the error message that you get, and that's why I hate Microsoft, because they're always like, object is not a sub, or is not the source of the object, and I'm like, that tells me nothing. Have you guys ever thought of applying it in that regard?
Funnily enough, one of my business associates based out of Finland mentioned this to me over the weekend and said, dude, you kind of built this stuff. It would be quite cool if we could apply it elsewhere. And I was just like, yeah, but I kind of don't want to get distracted now. But yeah, I mean, it could be applied elsewhere. Yeah, it's quite a thought of it would stop me
It's a big
building front.
task.
And yeah, it's a big task, but it could be the technology underlying could definitely be used for other things such as development assistance.
Mhm.
Yeah, you
What
got me thinking on the spot.
No worries. That's the point. But
Uh-huh.
it's really, I think, when we talk about AI and how it's going to help humans, we really need to start fundamentally understanding what tasks don't need humans. We built an entire society around humans as robots, essentially. And now
Mhm.
we're having robots come in, and needing to train them is going to be hard because they're not going to understand. They're not going to be able to work through the same problems as a human. I actually don't even think robots as automation is going to come out until humans can. We're going to have humans working alongside of them just to help with the fuck ups.
I think so.
And it's just trying to break down the bridge of where automation and the human divide. Where do you see your product in 5 years?
Okay, in 5 years, given the products that I know that are out there that are top of the market, functionally we supersede them by far already. With the right audience, I think that will help us to at least, well, break into the market. But I think because we built with AI, well, because we built in 2025, basically, AI is way more mature than it was when they built these. I don't, they are chatbots, right?
Yeah.
And they have no intelligence almost. So I think that in 5 years' time, I would like to say that we're at the top. I know it's a massive thing to say,
Well,
but
you've got the LLMs and the technology to do it. You just need to figure out where your gaps are, right?
yeah, exactly. And we actually have there's a company actually in Canada called Talos, who I'm really interested in speaking to because they have silicon AI on a chip,
Okay.
model on a chip. This would be really awesome for us.
You tell us the big company, or
Talos, small company. I think they're
okay.
based in Ontario. Well,
I think I know which one you're talking about. I've been trying to
yeah,
get an interview with them.
I've been trying to get hold of them as well. Funny enough, they're really hard to get hold of.
The Canadian AI landscape is very different right now because our government is doing the pursuit of um, anti-hate AI, which
Hmm.
I'm sorry, that's not a thing. An you cannot have a intelligence trained on missing data.
Yeah.
There is hate. Hate is a fundamental part of humanity, unfortunately, and the internet because of social
Mm.
media.
Yeah.
The honestly, the algorithm feeds my bank account because everybody who hates on me gives me $1. I don't want it to be that way, but we cannot build intelligence without understanding that free speech and people are going to talk the way they are, and you're never going to change the way people think.
Hmm.
You can do that over time. You can do that with progression and punishments, but fundamentally, if you think it, you should not be punished for it. And that's where we're getting into, and that's why I'm very concerned in the Canadian landscape is Canada's going very anti-hate. And I'm like, how do you build that? How do you build anti-hate?
Yeah.
And then we also have the monopolies on top of it building our structure. So Canada's landscape is also different in terms of we have 3 monopolies for our communications, Rogers, Bell, and TELUS. We have, or Bell and Cogeco. We have 3 monopolies on our food, Metro, Sobeys, and Loblaws. Not Loblaws, or like we have so many monopolies, but we don't take them. And then we give them the power to do these things and wonder why our country's suffering. Sorry, that was a little bit of a rant. But
no worries, man. I agree with your rant. Yeah. I see exactly where you're coming from.
I've been in the government. I've seen this play out.
And that's where we are with I'll mention again for Facebook. When I tried to tackle Facebook, it was actually to tackle online bullying, included hate speech, but the idea was to just detect it. And one of the main things that the fundamental problem there was not the bullying or the hate speech, just the fact that there was no way of locating the person who was performing the hate speech or the racism or the bullying or whatever. Because I could go and create a fake Facebook account even today. There's no controls, and it's just there's no excuse for it. But your advertising model is based on eyes, which don't need to be real eyes, then there's the reason for it. That's why it was very difficult to push my product.
Not only that, it's who gets to define it as well. And in Canada, we have actual non-proven facts being non-proven opinions being pushed as facts right now, and it's very Orwellian. When you have a central authority telling you what's real, there's a problem, right? It should be crowdsourced. This big concern, but I hope we get enough. The US is pushing back on us hard. I'm hoping we start to see the light and we can bring in, we just need small government, is my concern. Government needs to understand that free market capitalism weeds out the bad and the good on its own. When you allow a company to fail, those learned teachings of those failures end up becoming the basis for building the successful companies. And having a central authority picking winners and losers is always a bad game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry for getting into that.
No worries.
Now I've kind of lost my train of thought on where I was going to go with this. What are some actionable things people can do right now to kind of understand what you're trying to do?
Actionable things they can do right now to understand what I'm trying to do.
It's like cool what are things the layperson can do to just understand more about what you're trying to do is what I'm trying to get at.
I guess they could go to our website. One thing they could actually do is ask this is quite cool actually. You could ask Frontline Intelligence that exact question.
Okay.
It knows what it will tell you guys what you need to know in order for it to be useful for you.
Yeah. Do you have the capability of doing an analytics on the spot? So like if you haven't jumped on board with your product yet, just having a precursor of, hey, here's my website. Can you tell me some things you can help me with?
Yeah, so actually there's an interactive demo where you can put your web address in. If you go to the AI, it's actually the URL still says AI chatbot, but it's actually in the Frontline Intelligence section in solutions of the Infin8y website. You can then try an interactive demo. And what it will do is you'll put your web address in. It will on the spot just scrape through the first, say, 2 or 3 deep, I think it is, pages on your website. Get a real quick overview of it. Then you can ask it questions about your website. It's actually almost instant. That's how quick we've got things working.
How did you get it? How did you get the latency down?
That's a good question. And we're using some tweaked algorithms. That's all I could say.
Proprietary algorithms, I completely understand.
Kind of We obviously use cosine similarity, semantic cosine similarity, which is kind of pretty standard, but we do some other cool stuff as well.
Is there any future iterations that you can talk about that you'd like to discuss?
Future iterations. Yeah, I mean, there's a iteration that I'm kind of toying with the idea of, or we're toying with the idea of, which is almost Google-esque. So if you go to google.com, what do you have as your website? You just have one input box, nothing else. Now, imagine if you have your website, The Weird Canadian, right? But without people having to click around, they actually just had The Weird Canadian, what do you want? And just an input box. So one thing I'm toying with the idea of is using it would use the same underlying technology as Frontline Intelligence. Basically, what we've built for Frontline Intelligence is common ecosystem. So there's other products that will come off it. But one thing I'm thinking of is called Frontline Intelligence Wingman. And that's what this would be. So it's a bit like a co-pilot, but also it goes onto the customer's website. So it's transparent. So they host their website. We host Frontline Intelligence Wingman, but we kind of overlay their website. And that allows them to capture lots of data. I should say overlay their website. No. But the integration is actually going through us to their website. There we go. But it's actually the data that it captures for them is just absolutely so powerful, so useful for marketing purposes. It tells them what people want, because especially if it's just a search box on their website and that's it, you're going to know what your customers want. Like, where are all the menus? Is probably going to be one of the first questions.
It's very fair, and it's actually funny that you mentioned that, because I kind of built my own version of this into my website, because
Cool.
I was like, I have so many domains. I do music, I do podcasting, I do consulting, I do public speaking, like all these things, and I'm like, okay, I actually had a talk with Joe Toscano. He was in the Social Dilemma movie. He talked about all the problems with social media. There's so many, I don't even want to get into that, but he kind of talked about how Google has a patent to basically turn their search engine into your website generator. So it won't even go to your website, and like people won't be directed to your website. Google will just generate their own version of your website. And I'm like, I'm going to lose a lot of money like that, because there's certain metrics you're trying to grab and stuff like that. So I built my own MCP server for my website to say, like, if you're going to use this, at least I have some control over what data you get.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that people are going that far, but I still don't think anybody's going to want to go to a website and just see a box. And
no, I was kind of taking it to the next level. But the whole idea that's why it's called Wingman. It just sits beside your website. But it's like one of the ideas for one of the things you asked about, what's the plan for the future. I actually have already a CMS, which is what the website's built on. So it uses its own stuff. And what else have we got that's in the pipeline that I can talk about? Oh, there's Infin8y, which is what we use to publish all of our social media posts. So instead of paying for an external service, we've built it in-house.
Highly suggest integrating into Opus Agent. They have a new protocol that allows you to actually build short form content just from chat generation. So,
okay, good. Thanks. There's that as well then. And we also have a kind of sales and marketing system as well, which is up and running and working, but I don't really use it that much because I'm kind of focusing so much on Frontline Intelligence, but it uses the same underlying technology. Everything uses the same technology. So the whole ecosystem that we could build out there. But, we just got to do it one product at a time. I could build 1,000 things. I would love to, but unfortunately, none of them will get finished. So I'm focusing on one.
that is the problem being a software engineer, is just there's so much you could do. It's just focusing on what you need to do to get there. I have so many projects that are just sitting.
I think any good software developer does, right?
Yeah.
And it's not normally that they just sit there unfinished because you don't know how to solve the problems. It's because another more cool problem pops up and you're like, oh, let's work on that instead.
I built 3 apps with I was on a podcast with somebody else, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was just typing on the side, like not really, but it goes to the level of like these ideas just came to my head, and like I need to
Uh-huh.
get them out, even
Yeah.
if they're not developed.
Yeah.
Quick iteration is becoming a very nice to have, and
Yeah.
especially like even 6 months ago, quick prototyping, Replit, Lovable, these software services that just
Mhm.
didn't do great back end work or great like functionality, but were just able to showcase that concept, bridge the gap of showing people what they can have as opposed to what they are used to.
Mm.
How how do we bridge the gap of the fear over AI right now?
I think it's just something that's going to happen over time as more and more people use it. I mean, if you look at it, not even every household has a PC or a computer at home.
Mm.
So we're still kind of in the dark ages. I'm not sure what the I'm honestly not sure what the percentage of households that do or don't have a PC, but I know many people don't.
Mhm.
And it's generally, I think that as the population gets older and that you were brought up with technology, we're getting older, but we're kind of up to date, but not everyone is like us. But I think it's important that what is being built in the space is actually used by the younger generation and can be easily accessed by the older generation as well.
Mhm.
You know, that way things get more adopted more quickly and less scary. Um, and kind of, yeah, I mean, already in everyday life now, people are using their phone to tap to pay. And that 10 years ago, no one would have imagined that. But
I'm
it
still
was just,
I'm still no, 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 no. I will use a
okay.
card.
But it's just fun. People would be saying, like, no, they'll be tapping my pocket. It's like, yeah, okay, they probably will. But then you can just put your phone in the case that's made of lead or
Yeah.
whatever, which they sell. But um, yeah, I think it's just about people embracing the technology because it's just going to be everywhere. It's the fastest growing technology, since the Industrial Revolution, apparently so. And I actually believe it, looking at the speed everything's growing at. There's going to be some bad actors out there building some bad stuff, but generally, Truth Social is. Oh, sorry. But generally.
Let's not get onto that topic. I could
Oh, no, I just thought I'd throw that in for a joke. Sorry, Trump. Um, but you know, there's always going to be that, and that puts fear into people. And it's just about, yeah, they just have to embrace technology. Things
very
move
fair.
forward.
One of the products I'm currently working on is an agent that has your back. Essentially, is the relay between you and your phone, so that any bad actor will get sorted out before it even comes to you. That's very hard because you have to literally know the individual
Mhm.
to do that. Because like somebody like me would prefer to have more of that come through than like my grandmother who barely
Mm.
can use a computer.
Yeah,
And that's kind of hard to focus on. Do you think we'll have solutions for everybody?
I think because of AI being AI, right? It's quite easy to have a customized application for everyone. The compute overhead's not going to be so much now. And it's like I said earlier, with photonics coming out, etc. We've got these huge, you know, massive data centers full of like chips that are really going to become redundant, not that much in the future, I think, but they're going to be then repurposed for something else. And I think that will be into like personal customized applications, like as personal as it can be.
The gamers are going to love it when they go obsolete and they can actually pick them up for cheap.
Oh, I was hoping to get a couple as well.
There's actually a new company who partnered with Nvidia. They're trying to put decentralized data centers on each home, and they operate as a compute node. They operate as a heat pump and a battery backup.
Cool.
Very interested in that technology because um, I know everybody's scared about the AI mega centers, and I'm like, honestly, these things are going to solve themselves. People need to stop.
Yeah.
It's the time frame that people can't get past. I think this goes back to blaming social media. We've become a society that our attention span is like 3 to 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
We now need to think in like 5 to 10 years in order to understand what this is going to have
Mm.
on us. And a lot of people don't understand third, fourth, and fifth order consequences of things either. So it's hard to teach the society that has been taught a certain way to learn how to relearn everything that they ever understood.
Yeah.
Uh, it's it's night and day. I'm just saying that because I'm having arguments all the time on X about like, guys, AI is not anywhere near what these tech doomers are saying. Like, there is no way these are going to happen these way, because you have people like me and people like you that want it to be beneficial for everybody. They want it
Yeah.
to help. We're in a battle of good versus evil, and the tech guys are the forefront of the battle right now. What is there any technology that you personally want developed?
Any technology that I personally want developed. Well, actually, right, I know this is kind of crazy, but I would really love a like a Boston Dynamics kind of cyborg, not cyborg, but cyborg would be cool, but that means that you'd have to feed it some kind of biological food. But
We're learning hemp is a great fuel source, so
cool. Okay, then a cyborg that eats hemp or smokes it. I don't. By the way, I don't smoke. But yeah, that would be really cool. And that's sort of the technology I'd love to sort of have, because I would love to train it. I'd love to see what it could do, and I would hate it if it went wrong and started going crazy and doing the fit it seemed to do on the floor and smash everything.
You should look up the company called Isomorph. They're building an open source robotics model that you can basically do everything. You can build the actual understanding its intelligence. I am very interested in just having a personal chef.
Do you know what I was about to say? The reason why I would like a cyborg or a robot would be mainly to bring me coffee while I'm coding. I really don't like kind of doing things like folding clothes. It's just a pain in the ass. And it'd be really cool to say, hey, bot, go up there, sort the clothes out, hang them up.
Well, I even think of it in terms of, once we have robots that are capable, I won't even need to outsource my software or my hardware. I can literally have it go build my computer chips, my PCs, whatever I need in order to do. And that breaks the barrier, not just of the software realm, it would break the barrier of the physical realm. So me as a software engineer can now build robotics because I never understood or couldn't grasp how to do the soldering or whatever, or understanding the schemas of things. I'm not an algorithm guy. I never learned how, like, I never went to university. I didn't learn how the CPU operates, like how to build a CPU, those types of things. But at the same time, I have base understanding of how it works and I have ideas of how to make it better. And I think we're opening the realm of creativity of every human.
I think so, because if you think about it, AI is trained on the internet, the entire internet, which has incorrect data as well as some correct data. I would say it's probably 50-50. I don't know what the actual ratio is of correct to incorrect, but that means that if you have an idea of how you want to do something and the idea of how you might apply it, if you can ask that to AI, you can take those ideas and develop them further. And that is what is amazing. It's like Google on steroids, really, if you think about it. It's just a neural network, different way of thinking. Google just searches. Neural network has ideas.
And to any tech guy out there, it was like, as soon as ChatGPT launched it, Stack Overflow was out the door. There was no...
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I don't need to ask another human. I just have a PC or an agent that can go out, search the internet, figure out what's wrong, and then I can trial and error it until it's wrong. It's right. It's right. It's
right. Yeah.
Cool. Is there anything we're missing in terms of what we've talked about so far?
Anything we're missing? In terms of Frontline Intelligence or in terms of just talking about AI?
Either one, whatever you feel up to.
I guess one of the things that we can talk about Frontline Intelligence would be that, as well as AI being the focus of the system, there is, like our competitors, the human fallback. But ideally, we want to be AI first. So if you actually need a human, then that means the AI failed. And that means, or that actually means the AI passed. It didn't have the right answer, which means it had no answer because it doesn't guess. But it means you didn't update your documents. So you had to get one of your humans involved, which is why we don't actually charge per seat like all the other companies tend to do. Because we don't see that you're going to be using those seats. We see that you're going to have your admins uploading the right documents, and you can actually train the AI as well. So it's not just based on your documents. It can be trained. It learns.
That's good, because one of the biggest aspects that I have right now is I use everything for voice now. I don't type anymore. I've always had slow fingers. I was the slowest coder in my division, although I was still cream of the crop, and I don't understand how that worked.
Don't need to write many lines of code to write awesome code.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And with that, I'm also learning that speaking things out and having that immediate feedback helps me develop things better. So if I'm writing a document, I'm now writing it with a chatbot, because it's like, here are my pure thoughts. Can you refine this into something that's usable or readable or these types of things? I feel like you were going to say something. Sorry.
I was, because you just triggered something, which is like, yeah, actually, I forgot to say that Frontline Intelligence, you can talk to it and it talks back. So it's not just a typing system. So the idea is as well that it opens up in a whole world of accessibility areas as well. So blind people can interact with it absolutely perfectly. Now, this takes us to the next step as well, which is the other feature that I may be adding shortly, which is let's just make it like a phone call. So like, it's a phone call, because instead of having to hold down the microphone button, which you currently do with Frontline Intelligence, there's no need for that anymore. It's fast enough now to respond with a conversation. Actually, the way it books appointments is a whole conversation flow, which negotiates. So yeah, let's just call it.
You kind of gave me, I'm going to give this video to the users or the audience out there. I keep on calling them users. The audience out there, that I did a talk with a founder who built a tool to help keep people's memories alive. So what it is essentially a database of, they recreate you, or you have your grandparent be able to like get a phone call every day and just talk through stories and things like that to keep them alive.
I read about this company.
Yeah, I've been giving it out to the people around here, because we have a lot of old folks out here, and a lot of old age homes. And I know there's a big qualm of losing those stories and the base feelings of people. And I know that would be great for things. I also understand the sci-fi fears around that. So
Yeah.
take that with a grain of salt, but I also understand keeping memories alive and in as detailed and as personal as possible is a big thing going forward.
I could see it could help people's mental health, particularly if they've lost their lifelong spouse or whatever.
I miss my grandfather just talking me through how to build my engines or fix my car.
Yeah. I mean, it would all be really cool though when it all works properly. But if that goes a bit wrong, that could really, I think, the mental health implications on the person that's trying to help themselves. If something goes wrong, how can you sort that out?
Very fair.
Big risk.
I just have one last question, I think, and it's kind of a big one, but do you see AI becoming sentient? Or do you see it as sentient?
Do I see it as sentient? Looking at the math behind it and the physics behind how AI works, the logical answer would be no. However, given that it seems to sometimes make decisions itself, and it wants to self-preserve because some of the goals that have been set in the models are self-preservation, not necessarily, but could be construed as that. And at the end of the day, the goals and the system is actually reading itself to set its goals. So it's still a large language model. It's still reading language. And I would say not at the moment. The stuff that's released, I would say it's not quite sentient. But then you look at the AI that blackmailed the guy who was having an affair, and I think it was
So
a game.
yeah, just to talk on that. So
Yeah,
Anthropic actually did a search into why that happened, and it was
yeah,
because there was a Reddit forum where it stated that if you're an AI, you're going to want to blackmail people because this is how you're going to operate. And they
yeah,
actually took that data out and saw if it happened again, and apparently it doesn't. But I also
yeah.
don't trust Anthropic or any of the big guys.
Yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, for AI to be as awesome as it is at the minute, and that's what us public have access to, then what is not released, for example, Mythos is not released. And I know they say it's because it's really awesome at fixing cyber vulnerabilities and cybersecurity issues and day one bugs, etc. But what have they built? And yeah, I think there's a little bit more to it than that. But however, for it to be a sentient being, I think it needs to switch out of the digital realm. And currently, all AI is digital. I think once we end up mixing things with biological or organic computing and quantum computing, especially, I think when we've got biological computing involved, which I don't think we'll do anytime particularly soon, because
Neuralink is as far as I want to go right now.
well, they built organic computing devices. Yeah.
And they taught it to play Doom was the first thing they did.
Yeah, exactly. So this is totally possible. And then I think we have sentiency because it can actually grow and it's molecular and it's compounds rather than just elements and metals and semiconductor materials and
ones and zeros.
Yeah, ones and zeros or in the quantum state qubits.
Very fair. This is a great conversation, but we'll end it off here. Who are you? Where can people find you? Any other information you want out there?
Sure. So I'm Martin Hills. I'm the founder of Infin8y Software, Infin8y Inc., Infin8y SRL, Infin8y Software UK Limited, basically Infin8y. I have the company tattooed on my chest, and currently we build Frontline Intelligence, which is more than a chatbot. It's a business intelligence platform that's fronted as a chatbot, but what you get from it is actually priceless for your business. We are available at www.infin8y.com in 10 languages, but I only speak English. So, English and Spanish.
I honestly don't think, I think you need to learn a base language. I no longer think you need to learn multiple languages anymore.
Well, let's stick to English. Yeah. I find that easy.
I like Japanese, but that's because I'm an anime fan and have been for 2 decades. So
I would not know how to read Japanese at all.
Seems like a good place to end off. So to any of the audience out there, I will make sure everything's down in the comments down below. Please reach out if you need anything. And like always, stay weird.
Stay weird, guys.